So all throughout the last couple of weeks, we have been previewing and recapping the Oregon football high school state championships. And now we are down to two teams and one game to go for the whole ball of wax. And now we welcome in from KGW, Nate Hanson, who has been with me this entire time. Nate, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm great, Justin. Excited to get Saturday. Here it goes.
So before we get to a preview of the state championship game, let's go back to last week. I know there's a lot of stuff to break down, but let's go back to the Central Catholic win. Barlow was kind of on a Cinderella story on their way into this semifinal. Central Catholic, though, has kind of been, this has been their path. It's where a lot of people expected them to be, and they pulled off pretty commanding victory.
They did, and it was expected for the most part because those two teams had played in the regular season and Central Catholic had dominated that game. But this game was really interesting in the aspect that in the first quarter, it was 0-0, and Barlow really controlled the pace of the game. And then the second quarter, they set up for a short field goal attempt that was blocked by Central Catholic. You're seeing it right now, and returned by Miles Jackson for a touchdown for Central Catholic. That put them up 7-0. And at that point moving forward, the Rams just rolled. Elijah Elliott had 3 touchdowns on the ground, their senior running back, and they won 35-7. Here they are in the state title game.
So we mentioned it at the very beginning that Tigard was the favorite coming into this, but they went out very early in the second round, and then it was coming down to Lake Oswego and Jesuit along with Central Catholic as kind of the favorites in this field. And now you get Laco and Jesuit in the semifinal. Everything building up to be a classic, and man, was it a classic.
It completely delivered. And for Lake Oswego, the performance, we've talked about him a lot, the running back Casey Filkins, who is now filling the role of quarterback as well for the Lakers. They relied on him a ton in the semifinal game, and Jesuit actually did a pretty good job of stopping him on the ground. They held him to about 110 yards on 30 carries, so not a lot of action there. But what was surprising about this game is Lake Oswego, after only throwing 2 times in their quarterfinal victory over Lake Ridge, Filkins attempted 27 passes, completed 13 of them for over 200 yards and a touchdown. So they're not cheap passes either. They're down the field, and that really opened this game up a little bit for Lake Oswego. And their defense, when they were trailing in the second half again, their defense came over and forced 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter that helped them beat Jesuit.
Now, forced turnovers.
Yes.
Maybe one of the greatest plays I've seen, not just in high school football, but maybe one of the best football plays I have seen. And of course, we are talking about the forced fumble from Joe Hudson of Lake Oswego. So kind of set the stage, because it was not just an amazing play, but an amazing moment for that play to happen.
It may have been a season-saving play for the Lakers. At this point, when it happens, early in the fourth quarter, Jesuits up 21-20. They had led most of the game. They run this reverse and complete the pass to Cade Wisher. No one in front of him. Looks like Jesuit star running back's going to put him up 28-20. And then Joe Hudson comes out of nowhere, punches the ball out, and then catches it in the end zone for a touchback. So it takes what would have been a 28-20 Jesuit lead in the fourth quarter, and suddenly Lake Oswego's got the ball, and they're only down 1. And the coaches and players after the game said, those are the type of plays that can win you state championships. Just an incredible play.
Well, it's funny because those are the type of plays you never ever see those type of plays. Joe Hudson's going to be one of those guys that is going to be maybe walking around Lake Oswego in 5, 6, 7, 10 years and running and be like, hey, aren't you the guy? He's like, I was the guy that made that play.
He's not going to be having to buy any beers in Lake Oswego once he turns 21, especially if the Lakers can complete it and win the state title this year.
So Lake Oswego still has to get by Central Catholic. We mentioned it earlier. Central Catholic with the big special teams play that kind of jump-started them in the win over Barlow. Let's hear from Central Catholic and their coach on the win in the semifinals.
To be here for the 4th time in the last 7 years is unbelievable. I wouldn't have thought in my wildest dreams that we could achieve at that level. But it's a testament to our kids and our coaches and our community. They just support us so much.
It just means everything to us. This team, from the start, this was our goal, just to be practicing on 12-19.
It's big, but I mean, we expect to be in moments like this. We've trained all offseason for this. Everybody on our team worked as hard as they could.
All year since May. Love these guys out here. We were just trying to stay in the moment, work week by week, day by day, and just give our best effort.
So there you go. Now it is set. Lake Oswego, Central Catholic for the big trophy. What do you got in this matchup?
Man, these are two heavyweights, two power programs. And Central Catholic, I think, is the more complete team of the two teams. I think they can beat you throwing. They can beat you running the football. They have an offensive line that creates huge holes. They got a defense who has just stopped opponents and limited them all year. And ever since Central Catholic only lost once to an Oregon team in the regular season. That was to Jesuit, who, as we know, was very good. But ever since then, they've won 8 games in a row, and they've only had 2 of them decided by less than 20 points. So they've been the more dominant team. But on the other hand, Lake Oswego is the defending state champion. They have the best player in the state in Casey Filkins, and they've trailed in each of their last 3 playoff games in the second half, and they've still found a way to come back and win each of those games. So this is a really tough one to decide, and a nice, interesting story point to this. Lake Oswego's going for back-to-back state championships. That hasn't been done since Central Catholic did it in 2013 and 14, so a lot to look forward to here.
And one quick thing, when you look at the matchups, I mentioned this multiple times throughout this, covering these games, and especially in high school, we get wrapped up in the rankings and everything else, but style of play and controlling the tempo, I think, is going to be huge. What do you look for is the advantage in this one?
I think it's Central Catholic, just because, like I said, I think they're a better all-around team. But Lake Oswego just seems to overcome adversity. And don't get me wrong, Lake Oswego's got talented players alongside Casey Filkins, but they put so much on his shoulders. And we'll see the development of the passing game last week. I think will be really interesting to see if the Lakers continue that, or if they go back to the team we had seen earlier in the playoffs, where they're pretty much running the ball every play. So that will be another interesting thing to look forward to here.
All right, you can catch Nate Hanson and all the coverage at kgw.com. But the state championship, Lake Oswego, Central Catholic, coming up this weekend.